Do you know the difference between you and a pro animator? A pro animator use a workflow with tools and techniques that speed up the animation process, leading to more time creating and less time fighting with the software. If you struggle to animate quickly, it's probably the biggest thing holding you back from becoming a pro. And in this masterclass, I'll show you the best techniques and tools used by pro animators. You can easily use to instantly speed up your animation workflow in Blender, ultimately setting you on a path to becoming a pro animator. At the end, I'll show you how you can download this easy-to-follow guide with tips and tricks for free. So let's get started. Complex animations can be quite difficult to know how to start. There's so much going on, and you have to think about a lot of things. But with a simple change in the way you see animation, everything will become much easier. Everything is a bouncing ball, and that is the first technique. The trick here is to simplify the movement into one ball, and this forces you to see the most important thing in animation, the movement. If you simplify the main movement of the character's body, you'll see that it's very simple. Take, for example, this animation of the ball going up and down. It's a very simple sphere. It doesn't even have any rigging. It's a very simple animation, and this is essentially the animation of the character jumping. In Graph Editor, you'll see that it only has one animation curve, and what this curve is doing, it goes down, then it goes up, it holds a little bit in the air, then it goes down, it goes up to overshoot, and it goes down to the final position. And using this same movement, we can create squash and stretch very quickly. You duplicate this ball. Use anim offset to change the position of the ball without losing the animation. Now just delay the movement to start one frame later. And there you have it. Squash and stretch relating the body to the chest. That's the trick. Simplify the movement into just one ball. Then apply this movement to the character. And you can do this with any part. Body, chest, head, wrists, elbows, any part. Also with any animation. And when you see animation as bouncing balls, it becomes much easier. But attention, when applying this technique to characters, you will probably encounter difficulties. Unlike the simple ball in the character, it may not be as easy as moving up and down. This is because the controller's easiest way to do a poses is not the easiest way to interpolate a movement. You, for example, wouldn't make a bouncing ball using FK kinematics, right? And here we go to the second technique, space switching. A fancy name just to say that we will simplify any controller in an easy way as if it were a simple ball. To do this, select the controller and click Create. Now just copy the animation curve, apply it to the controller, and you're done. It's that easy. In some cases, simply simplifying the controller as if it were a simple ball will not be enough. For example, in this animation, the idea is to make the character swing on the bar. Everything is a bouncing ball, the swing will essentially be like a pendulum. If you animate in traditional way, pose to pose, when you get to the spline, you'll have a lot of problems. You will face 3 curves to describe a single movement. It will be practically impossible to make a clean pendulum movement using 3 curves. And this is where the third technique comes in, called pivot offset. Another cool name to say that we're going to move the pivot point from one place to another. To do this, you just need to ask yourself, where does the pivot point need to be to make this movement easier to interpolate? The easiest way is if that pivot point was at the center of the bar. This way I can make the pendulum move with one rotation, and doing this with ANIMATE is very easy and very fast. You select the root, click here to create a new pivot, which will be this empty one. If you move it, it will move everything. Select the empty. Click here to start the offset mode. Move the empty to the center of the bar, and press enter. Once this is done, it will now be moving with just one axis. Now animate the main movement, which is the pendulum. Then you add overlapping in the legs, the movements of the other parts, and that's it. This technique is so powerful because it allows you to animate in the easiest way as possible. And the best part, you're never limited by rigging again. Let's move on to the next technique. One of the biggest time drainers as an animator is constraints. If you need to make your character hold an object, you need constraints. Just setting them up takes a long time. And instead of doing it manually and wasting time struggling with the software, you'll animate like a pro and use a tool to do it. ANIMATE has fast constraint. For example, in this animation where the character picks up the cup and then drops it, you go to the moment he picks it up, select the parent, then the child, click Create. Go to the moment he drops it, click Disable, and that's it. Ridiculously easy, and you save a lot of time. The same applies when you need to switch from FK to IK during an animation. For example, in this parkour animation, when the character is running, it's easier to use FK. It'll just be the rotation curves, and that's it. When they're about to put their hand on the bar to jump, they need to switch to IK because they can't be precise in FK. Instead of switching manually, like a beginner, you can use ANIMATE's fast IK-FK switch. Select the ARM controller, click to switch, and you're done. You can even configure it to display controllers based on the cinematics in that frame range. For example, in FK, it will only display FK controllers, and the same goes for IK. Attention! All of this will speed up your animation workflow, but there's more. A professional animator doesn't deliberately repeat tasks. It's not the smartest way to do it, and it wastes a lot of time. For example, you're going to animate the character's fingers. Instead of selecting all the hand controllers, make a pose. Selecting them all again, make a pose. And here we come to the technique of reusing efforts. The trick is to select it just once, and save it in buttons to use whenever needed. And ANIMATE allows you to do this very easily with the selection buttons. You make your selection, click Create, add a name, choose a color, and you're done. Your selection is saved, so you can easily access it whenever you need it. Besides the selection, you don't need to keep redoing the hand poses every time you make a new animation. A technique used by pro animators is to save a series of character poses and reuse them later. The trick is very simple. You make the pose, select the controllers, and click Add. That way, whenever you need it, you have that pose very easily. And we can take this idea of leveraging your efforts to the animation level. Using ANIMATE's animation library, you can save complex or simple animations to reuse whenever you need them. For example, I saved an animation of a character blinking. Then, whenever I need it, I simply go to the animation library, select the animation, and apply it. This way, you build an acting performance very quickly and in a fun way. And this works with complex animations like a walk cycle. You can reuse it, apply a cycle, and add a forward root movement, and you're done. The trick is simple. Create the animation as usual, select the controllers, and instead of saving all the controllers, save only the ones essential to the action. Click Create, add a name, choose the frame range, and create. And your animation will be ready to use. These were the techniques for animating faster, but sometimes you'll need to edit your animation quickly too. Sometimes your client, supervisor, or you might want to change a gesture or movement, and this can take up a lot of your time and often be boring. To do this the way pro animators do, we'll use the global offset technique. A cool name to say will change the pose without losing the animation. ANIMATE has an anim offset that allows you to apply these techniques. Then, select the controller. Click to start the mode, change to pose, and you're done. You can also apply it to just a part of the animation. Click to activate the mask, select the frame range, and simply change the pose. And voila, the animation is ready. Now that you know these techniques, it's time to take action and put them into practice. But to apply them, to animate faster, easier, and without effort, you'll need this add-on. You might be wondering, how do I access this add-on? The first link is in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time.